From one nun, a defiant act of courage trying to stop the violence in a northern town in Myanmar. There she is. She knelt down in front of police officers, begging them to stop shooting protesters. They told her they were just clearing the road, but gunfire started moments later. The nun and other witnesses say at least 2 protesters were killed, several others were injured. Another elected official from Aung San Suu Kyi's political party has died. That's 2 members of the National League for Democracy to die in detention in 2 days. CNN's Paula Hancock's following the story for us from Seoul in South Korea. And I guess one of the things which has happened with, we don't know the cause of death, but Human Rights Watch says, at least in the second case, or sorry, the first case rather, the injuries sustained by that member of the party were consistent with torture.
Well, that's right, and it's something similar that we are hearing in the second case as well, John, at least from a Burmese NGO, AAPP, which is looking after political prisoners and looking for these kind of incidents. And they have said both cases, they see there is evidence, at least they have been told there is evidence of torture. Now, we know that the first individual, the NLD member from the National League of Democracy, King Mong Lat, he has already had his funeral. His family have buried him. And what we know about the second incident is that the family are still waiting for the body from the military hospital, so they haven't even been able to pay their respects at this point, according to a family friend that we have been speaking to. Now, we know that in the second case, this is Zaw Myat Lin, it was 1:30 in the morning on Tuesday morning that he was arrested, similar to the first case when that was in the middle of the night as well. This is when the military likes to make its key arrests, and we understand that later that day the family was told that individual had died, even though when they were arrested there was nothing untoward. There were no injuries to that particular individual. So this is a real concern to members of the NLD who are not already in prison. We know that dozens of them were rounded up really in the first round, straight after that coup happened on February 1st. Dozens are currently behind bars. And perversely, really, what we're hearing from state media is that the military itself is feeling that the police, the security forces, are using minimal force. So in the global new light of Myanmar, the state-run media, they are saying that it is clear what they are using is minimal force, something that protesters, activists, many around the world would simply not agree with. John?
One of the campaigns, or one of the tactics which the protesters are using against the military here is this campaign of civil disobedience. Part of that are these labour strikes, which are happening all over the country. The railway workers were part of that, but we've had these, the reports that the military has now surrounded some of these rail workers. And what essentially is the latest on that front?
Yeah, these railway workers were among the first really large groups to go on strike and to go out into the civil disobedience movement. So this happened this early hours of this morning, again 5:30 in the morning. We understand that the military used stun grenades to close off certain roads as well, close to these areas. There were certain railway stations and housing of railway workers that they actually were searching. Now it's unclear how many have been arrested, whether there have been injuries. This is information we're still trying to get hold of. But it just shows that systematically the military is trying to crack down on certain elements of the CDM, the civil disobedience movement. We also know that they're trying to control the narrative, as they have really from day one. A couple more of the independent media outlets had their offices raided as well. All 5 of them, the independent outlets, had their licenses stripped yesterday on Tuesday, and now many of them have had their offices raided as well. We know that journalists have been a target. John?